Back at the start of 2022, we did something quite different with how we ideate and innovate. We launched a collaboration innovation platform called Ad Labs. What we've done with Ad Labs is entirely overhaul our approach to ad innovation across all aspects of how we bring new addressable products and solutions to market and how we enable measurement.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Identity Architects, the InfoSum podcast that spotlights the incredible leaders in the media industry shaping the future of data-driven advertising. I'm your host Ben Cicchetti, and this week I had the opportunity to sit down with Jayesh Rajdev, Controller of Advanced Advertising at ITV. Together, Jay and I dive into the world of TV advertising, including how that landscape is changing, its convergence with retail media, and the ever-hot topic of measurement. Before we jump into that conversation, this is your reminder to hit that subscribe button so you'll always be the first to know when the latest episodes of Identity Architects drop. But without any further delay, here's my conversation with Jay. So one of the best parts of my job is I get to speak to incredible and inspiring people on a regular basis thanks to this podcast. And today is one of those days. I'm thrilled to be joined by Jayesh Rajdev from ITV. Jay, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
So for anyone who doesn't know you, can you give us a quick introduction to yourself and maybe for some of our international listeners also to ITV?
Yeah, so I run advanced advertising day-to-day at ITV within the commercial team. So commercial team are responsible for all aspects of driving revenue from advertisers and media agency customers. My team look after all aspects of our addressable advertising product. Basically all the ads that you see on ITVX driven by data. ITVX is our year-old streaming service. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But critically, what my team are looking at are where we can take our advertising product, advanced advertising product set next. How do we evolve, grow, improve what we have? And my background, probably quite uniquely for, I've had a quick look at some of your previous guests. I started very much as a generalist. I was at MediaCom for many, many years. I actually started at MediaCom back in the late 90s as a graduate media planner. And as an account lead, I've got perspective across all media. Left MediaCom in 2016 and joined Videology, it's fast-growing video ad tech business, and through there into ITV, into my current role.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got heaps to cover off. ITVX will definitely come back up, I'm sure. But we're going to start the way we always do, which is getting to know you, Jay, a little bit better. So firstly, obviously, we've all landed in the advertising industry, but what is your earliest memory of advertising?
So I'm going to be one of those nerds that says ads did always fascinate me as a kid. I was a big TV obsessive, and ads on the telly really did fascinate me. So it was TV ads. We had 4 channels. If you think back to the shows that got huge audiences back in those days, the ads were genuinely, certainly for kids, more fun than the shows, and more interesting than the shows. So those really old TV ads that you'll still see just sort of dredged out at conferences. Do you remember like how they used to generate audiences of 25 million? Yeah, those ads remain very, very fond to my heart. Sort of rational product benefit ads, along with a lot of really fun ads like Smash, for example.
Mm.
The other side to ads was sort of growing up. My parents ran sweet shops, and as a consequence of that, I ended up being the slave labor, reading and delivering newspapers. So it's a lot, and press advertising. Very easy for us to forget. Here we are, here in 2024. Press advertising back in the day was enormous.
Yeah.
So all of those ads in newspapers were a big part of my sort of consumptive advertising diet.
Yeah, it's amazing how often those kind of, especially that TV advertising seems to be the most consistent example that comes up, which obviously plays
Yeah,
very well into ITV. It's those memories that we all have from being children and observing ads, as you mentioned.
absolutely.
So before you became, one of the leading voices in TV advertising as you are today, what did you want to be when you were growing up? What did you want to be when you were younger?
So once I'd grown out of wanting to be a spaceman or a fireman, I actually really enjoyed the idea of actually thinking I could make those ads. I
Mm,
actually, from my early teens, I thought I'd love to be in the teams, one of the people ideating these ads, and thinking about where they came from and those mad ideas. Um, and and that I was pretty focused on that from a very early stage. And right through uni, I did a sort of business management degree at uni. Marketing, and particularly the P focused on your promotional plan of the 4 Ps, was a particular area of fascination for me.
interesting. And then, so your first job out of uni, or your first job in marketing advertising?
At Mediacom, I sought some really sound advice from NABS, National Advertising Benevolent Society. They're a charity in the UK dedicated to welfare of folk in our industry. Wonderful charity. But back in the day, they had a really good graduate recruitment advisory team. So if you're looking to get into advertising, it was a very easy place to go back in the day. I tried a couple of placements at ad agencies and didn't go anywhere. And a lovely lady at NAB said, "Have you ever thought about media?" I went, "What's that?" As most people do that aren't in the industry. And 5 minutes later, I was sold. A week, not even a week later, she put me into an interview at MediaCom, and I pretty much got my first job in media that I interviewed for.
That's
And I was there 19 years.
And what do you think it was that was it the creative side of things then, and the storytelling that drew you to the media advertising industry?
You know what? At the time, it was the notion of being involved in the advertising process, the insight, the understanding required to understand an audience, the utilization of a number of different sources of data, to make informed recommendations to clients. I found that whole process really interesting. Um, it was also pretty wild back in the day as well. It was some fabulous characters that you got to know really well, both colleagues, but also partners that you would be working with, at an array of different media owners, radio industry, the press industry, the out of home industry, TV industry, full of huge characters that you
Yeah.
got to know really well. You got to socialize with them a lot as well, and that part of the industry was and remains really fun. But really, I think the most interesting part was working with clients across a range of different disciplines. I started working out on Mars confectionery. That was huge amounts of fun. Quickly went into the Ents team at Mediacom, where I was quickly working with the likes of Universal Music, Universal Pictures. Went on to run Universal Pictures for a good few years as well. Working on campaigns for some of the biggest recording artists, biggest movies back in the day. It was a huge amount of fun, very interesting, and varied role. Um, and 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 more recently, I moved into the retail team, ran a bunch of clients over there, but it was hard work, but lots and lots of fun.
Yeah. So what advice then would you give to someone who's maybe just starting out in their career in media, in advertising, in our industry?
I think the thing I say to most people starting out is to read incessantly. I mean, that's one thing I've done from the very outset. Um, be really interested in what's going on in the industry, what's going on in every agency, what different advertising, different categories are doing. Um, and that curiosity feeds ultimately that that change in the industry that keeps going on feeds my curiosity. And what I try and do with we've just recruited a bunch of new folk into into ITV, and I get asked this a lot, and I think it's that restlessness and curiosity to learn about the new and the different is the most important thing. Um, the other thing that I think is really important for people getting into the industry is to just get the shit done that you've been asked to do, and then beyond that, volunteer for stuff. Let me pick that up. I can do that.
Yeah.
I think that's not a skill. That's a trait, really. That desire to take and develop responsibility very, very quickly, and hold yourself to account. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree. I mean, so we exist in quite a complex industry. There's a lot going on. As you mentioned, there's constant change. So how would you describe what you do within the media and advertising industry to a 10-year-old?
So I have a 9-year-old who's inherited certainly my curiosity. She asks lots of questions, particularly about what we do, because like most 9-year-olds, she's watching most of her content on demand, mostly
Yeah.
on the iPad. She's obsessed with Mallory Towers right now,
Okay.
which is wonderful. We watch it every evening. I feel like I'm watching the same episode every evening. And she has asked me. She actually asked me quite recently, and in the simplest possible terms, I said something along the lines of, I make all those ads on ITVX happen so that I can afford to feed you and buy the stuff that you want. All those colouring pens that you want come from salary. What's that? It goes into all of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's the ads on ITVX.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, you talk a lot about kind of how you got into this line of work, and kind of what keeps you in this industry. But what inspires you and kind of keeps you motivated on a daily basis?
The people at ITV are fantastic. They really are, and a lot of work goes into maintaining, enhancing, developing, evolving the culture, and I've bought into that wholly. But most importantly, I think it's the new and the different. That's why I enjoy my role so much. I'm constantly looking with my team at what else could we be doing, what else should we be doing, what's next for our addressable advertising product. That's hugely inspiring for me, and alongside that, look, it's having worked very, very closely with the music and film industry. It's that evolution of pace and change in popular culture. So for a number of years, sat at the intersection of TV, film, music. That hasn't gone away. It's if anything, it's getting bigger. If you look at Love Island started last night, depending on when this is going out, but it's Tuesday. Love Island started last night. The All Stars. I don't know if you watched it, but it was fantastic. And my oldest daughter missed it. That she got up this morning over breakfast. All she was talking about was last night's Love Island, because that's all she was consuming on her socials. And of course, who could have escaped Mr. Bates versus the Post Office?
Yeah.
And the resounding change that's created, and discourse that's informed right across the country and government. And I think being part of that popular culture and being very, very closely involved in it is really, really inspiring.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think, we talk about kind of the power that media and the media industry has to influence public opinion, public perception, and the
Yeah,
example of Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, the impact that has had,
yeah,
is incredible, and must have been an
yeah.
amazing kind of journey to be on internally at ITV as you saw that kind of unfold.
Yeah, no, and we remain right in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And so representatives. So this is Tuesday. Representatives from Fujitsu are in the dock today, and it will be yet another popcorn moment that we. I'm very, very pleased that my employers played a hand in driving.
Yeah, that's amazing. And obviously, you mentioned the music industry a little bit earlier on, and one of my favorite questions on this podcast is this, which is, if there was a song that was a soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
It's not a song. It can't be one song. It's never going to be one song with me. I mean, I've been going to Glastonbury for the last 4 years. I have a Glastonbury playlist. That is the soundtrack to my life, and
Amazing.
it's got a bunch of my favourites through the years. Rolling Stones, Queens of the Stone Age were my highlight last year at Glastonbury. Phoenix, John Grant, real highlight from a few years back. Bands like that. LCD Sound System.
Nice.
It's all of that stuff. But yeah, Glastonbury faves.
There you go. That's awesome. That's very cool. Well, on that note, we'll move on to kind of some of the more meaty topics and industry topics. And back in 2022, when we were first launching Identity Architects, we had your colleague, the incredible Lara Islan,
Yeah.
on the podcast. So if someone listened to that episode back in 2022 and now they fast forward 2 years to this episode, what should they know about how ITV and the TV landscape in general in the UK has evolved over the last 2 years?
So look, the last couple of years have been a whirlwind, really. A couple of years ago, we were just rolling. We're still in the process of rolling out Planet V, our self-service buying platform, and that's gone from strength to strength. I think it's fair to say, look, it's been challenging economically, and that's affected all of us. But that, from an ITV perspective, has really not slowed down our agenda around transformation. ITVX, obviously, the streaming service I talked about, is now a year old. That's been huge for the business. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But back at the start of 2022, we did something quite different with how we ideate and innovate. We launched a collaboration innovation platform called Ad Labs. And what we've done with Ad Labs is entirely overhaul our approach to ad innovation across all aspects of how we bring new addressable products and solutions to market, and how we enable measurement and how we help clients understand the outcomes we're driving, or they can drive from TV advertising. We've overhauled the way in which we bring these new initiatives to market. We have quite a codified approach to how we engage with new partners, what we do with those new partners, those suppliers, how we work with advertiser customers and agencies. So we bring them much closer to our pipeline. We invite feedback. We invite co-collaboration. And look, I think we've seen huge and game-changing advancements with a bunch of our key partners here. Now, not least yourselves. Alongside a bunch of retailers, we built some really interesting solutions with Boots and Tesco. But most importantly, our customers. We built some really, really interesting innovation JBPs who sort of share our philosophy around test and learn, who are willing to look at what they do currently in TV and really lean into evolving it. And I think we've seen some really, really smart work as a consequence of that over the last couple of years with a bunch of very, very big key partners.
Yeah, it's that relentless innovation and questioning of the status quo that drives that industry forward. And you obviously mentioned one of the biggest moments for ITV over the last couple of years was the launch of ITVX. How has that rollout gone? I guess from two perspectives. One, from, we're all consumers, so from a consumer angle, viewing figures, content library, so on and so forth. But for the audience of this podcast, how has ITVX been received by the advertising community?
So, look, I think it's been received incredibly well by advertisers, but most importantly, it's been received incredibly well by audiences. And that's what advertisers really wanted to see more than anything. And the ambition for ITVX at launch went way beyond just a mere upgrade to ITV Hub. ITV Hub was ostensibly just a catch-up BVOD service. The ambition for ITVX went way beyond that, hosting thousands of hours of dedicated content in addition to offering the opportunity to catch up on what viewers might have missed in linear. What it gave us above and beyond anything else was the ability to host way more content than we did. So we quickly got up to plus 20,000 hours of content from 4.5, which of course, backed with the marketing and really smart commissioning, is naturally going to drive streaming audience. Beyond that entirely new interface, that aiding of discoverability, major step change in the way in which we're scheduling content versus linear. So major drops of drama. We drop an entire box set on ITVX, schedule linear, either in tandem or subsequent. And it surpassed all expectations. You know, we are enabling drama viewers, for example, to watch drama how they want to watch drama and how they've been conditioned to be able to access drama from major other SVOD players. And that's a major step.
Yeah, and as you say, the content is such an important driver, right? You know, none of these streaming services can exist without the content that's there. And the content library on ITVX, I have to say, has kind of become so incredibly impressive. And it's become one of those go-to apps when you're not sure what to watch and you're just looking for something new to watch. It's become a part of that equation of let's see what's new on ITVX, let's see what they've added to ITVX. So it's super impressive, and the content is incredible on that.
100%. No, we're thrilled. And the viewing numbers and audience numbers are incredible. We're up to 40 million registered viewers on the platform. We have up to 20 million active in any 1 month. Consumption hours are off the scale. I mean, I've got number wang. I could throw in here, but we're thrilled with the numbers. And importantly for ITV, you know, what we're not seeing is that increase in streaming audience come at a significant impact to our linear numbers. So what we've shown, what we are seeing is viewers will still tune in their numbers to live linear and linear programming, whether it be in the moment live or PVR recorded. That behaviour is still significant for ITV.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier on, but you know, beyond ITVX, as an observer, kind of looking at ITV, it seemed like 2023 was just a fantastic year for the organization. Multiple new partnerships, and of course the announcement of the launch of Ad Labs. But for you, when you look at 2023, what was your highlight? And then, you know, we're right at the start of 2024. What are you most looking forward to for the year ahead?
Yeah, I think the most recent announcement that we made out of Ad Labs, probably something I'm particularly proud of, is the work that we've done in contextual targeting. I'd say one of the early pilots that we launched at the back end of 2022 was a solution called ACT. So utilizing technology to scan scenes of our shows to identify specific moods, moments, or objects that might be interesting for advertisers to appear adjacent to. And it was a tough process back in the day because contextual tech was evolving. But what we knew is by launching an early beta, it gave us that opportunity to talk to customers about it, understand how it's working, see it work in real life. It was a scrappy beta, but it did work, and there was interest in it. So that gave us the confidence to really think about how we scale it up, how we automate it better. Aspects of how we took that to market were relatively manual, and we had some very early conversations with Captify. We have a range of different tech, but their natural language processing technology and contextual segmentation tech was really smart. They're great people as well. So we launched an alliance with those guys, utilizing their technology. And most of this year, they've been scanning our shows, categorizing every single one of our shows. So they've categorized over 100,000 episodes that have appeared on ITVX throughout the year.
Wow.
There's 120 hours a week of new content going on to ITVX. And what they're doing with our new ACT solution is they're scanning that pretty much in real time, sending it back categorized. We've got a dozen or so segments available, very easy to buy on Planet V, and it's driving huge traction. Last count, we're sort of nudging 40 campaigns already that have been booked since November, since we launched. So there's definitely an appetite for it, and we're already looking at how we evolve our partnership with those guys and what other technologies there are out there. Look, as relates to what I'm looking forward to in 2024, I think we've launched a bunch of different retail media solutions. What it shows is the appetite for, and those are going great guns. But what we're really starting to see an appetite for is how we make and bring shoppable experiences to the big screen. Make it easy for people who are watching ITVX, perhaps to add to basket, to convey interest in an ad. Hugely challenging, hugely problematic. But I like those challenges, and that's a big area of exploration for us. And we're also looking at a number of other data alliances, spanning a number of other categories outside of grocery.
Yeah, I think obviously you touched on that kind of convergence of retail media and CTV and the power that has. A trend, obviously, ITV was at the forefront with partnerships with the likes of Tesco's and Boots.
Yeah.
Why is there such a strong synergy in your mind between retail media and TV?
I think so. We launched those partnerships. I've lost track of time now. Start of 2022. No, start of 2023. Wow, time goes fast. I'm getting old. Start of 2023, and actually, at the time, look, it was a relatively straightforward to sell. So look, we're bringing the precision and accuracy of retail loyalty card data to ITVX. And look, our collective thinking, this is between us and our retail partners, has evolved quite a lot, because questions we have in when we're thinking about these solutions is, are we bringing more reach accuracy to TV, or are we bringing greater quality to the programmatic environment and bringing TV into the programmatic and digital ecosystem? So is it a top-down accuracy opportunity, or is it a bottom-up from digital opportunity to bring the accuracy of digital into TV and adjacent to TV content? And the reality is, it's a bit of both. I think brands and a number of brands have lent in very, very quickly. The mainstay of FMCG category brand growth, penetration growth, is TV advertising. Brands drive mass reach really efficiently using TV to reach broad audiences comprising a mix of people that buy the category, people that don't buy the category but one day might buy the category, to reaching the customers of today and tomorrow. What we're offering here is the opportunity to buy audiences who are in your category right now.
Yeah.
Known frozen food or ice cream shoppers, known soft drink shoppers in Tesco. And those aisle shoppers are really, really important. And that ability to buy the reach of ITVX, but only amongst people that regularly buy in your category, is really, really interesting. And is a significant step. But it's something that's entirely new, which creates challenges around where it sits, how it's measured. But the great thing is, look, we're very, very open about this stuff. And we're very, very open about these questions. And I'm very grateful that we've got some of the world's biggest FMCG businesses leaning into that challenge as well as to how to navigate that with brand teams within those major orgs.
Yeah, so that solution, obviously, Matchmaker, for anyone who's not familiar with, obviously, as you mentioned, announced at the glitzy ITV Palooza at the end of 2022, I believe. So you mentioned, obviously, the FMCG clients that are using it or embracing it. How are they reacting to it? How are they reacting to the results of it? And what results can you share with us as far as what you've seen so far through Matchmaker?
So, look, I think I feel like we launched with both Boots and Tesco concurrently. So what the ambition was to really set the agenda for how broadcasters and retailers work together, and I think we've done that. We've seen a lot of evolution, I think, over the last year, and a lot of activity in the industry over the last year, which I think is brilliant for all of us.
Yeah.
We've also started seeing quite a lot of activity outside of the UK, and I've recently been fielding questions from broadcasters outside the UK on ITV's approach, particularly how we're shaping the solution, the operating, the commercial models behind it, data workflows, how we go to market, where to position it. As I said, is it digital, albeit with smarter content, or is it more accurate TV?
Yeah.
So look, it's been a resounding success, and it's been received really well by advertisers. We've run something like 40 odd campaigns in the sort of 9 to 10 months it's been properly active across both Boots and Tesco. And we've seen some really solid conversion lift numbers. What I think is really interesting is that we're seeing traction from a much wider variety of advertisers than we originally envisaged. So of course, the big FMCG businesses trialing the solution for their big brands. Big FMCG businesses trialing it for smaller brands in their portfolio that ordinarily they might have looked at and not considered TV affordable. What they now have with Matchmaker is that efficient and effective entry point to advertising on ITV through ITVX. What's really fascinating for us is also that smaller, fast growth FMCG. And we've seen a number of those currently investing most of their media investment outside of TV, mostly in digital. Again, they now have the benefits of efficiency and a lower barrier to entry to advertising on TV through Matchmaker. All of which with the assurance that they're reaching a known active category shopper. I think from a results perspective, I think what we've seen is some really interesting learnings around. We see lower purchase, so it's faster purchase frequency, higher purchase frequency categories tend to drive stronger uplifts. Soft drinks, snacks, ice cream, beers, wine, spirits. Lower purchase frequency categories, particularly in healthcare, they naturally won't see a shorter term uplift, but that then is leading us to look at how we think about reinventing. I'll say it's quite a big statement, but we're very much prioritizing how we think about measuring the efficacy of TV and how we redefine that, particularly for longer purchase frequency categories within their supplier sets. And it's firmly in our roadmaps with both Boots and Tesco in 2024 to explore.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating, and we're definitely going to come back to the topic of measurement because it's a constant topic and an interesting topic. But obviously, we've touched on there the kind of integration of retail media data into the ITV solution. There's that second party data opportunity. When you look beyond retail media, is there another vertical or sector that you feel could be that next second party data opportunity within the TV landscape?
Look, I think I think grocery and FMCG, we're working with the biggest grocer, one of the biggest high street retailers. They have really established infrastructures and businesses that we're working with really, really effectively and scaling solutions really effectively. That the next priority with those guys is how we bring more automation to our solutions, and that's another big focus for how we work together with those guys. Outside of FMCG, no categories off the table, and we've cast our net relatively wide from general merch, which I think is really interesting, consumer electronics, travel, finance, autos. We're exploring a range of options right now. That's all I'll
Yeah,
say.
no, that's fair enough. It's a super fascinating space, and I'm just
Yeah.
incredibly excited to see what other industries bring their data to the table, right? So I'm a gamer, so I'm fascinated by the idea of how gaming data can be used, obviously for in-game advertising and so on and so forth. But when you take that gaming data and you make that second-party data, the use cases in TV, the use cases in audio, the use cases on display and other places is just fascinating to me.
I'm all ears, Ben. I'm
Yeah.
looking for your ideas already. Let's take that offline.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so we touched on measurement a little bit
Yeah.
earlier on, and measurement is just such a consistent topic on this podcast and throughout the
Yeah.
industry. How is ITV approaching measurement? And specifically, what we've obviously touched on throughout this podcast is this idea of TV buying becoming more of a digital advertising experience for advertisers, that data driven platform for advertisers. But clearly, the eyeballs, again, as we touched on, for an ITV ad or a TV ad in general, come at a higher premium. So, how do you balance that expectation of brands to measure TV the way they measure display?
Um, I think we're very clear with advertisers that we need something different here. You know, so the question is: are we bringing smarter reach, um, or are we enabling higher quality performance? And the fact is, neither of those have a very clear metric in market right now, and widely adopted metric. Um, and yes, customers by and large really get that. They know we can't just simply measure data-driven ITVX advertising in the same simplistic way that digital's measured using metrics such as ROAS. Um, and look, you know, agencies and, as I said, agencies and clients are savvy enough to get that. We're on the same page. Our retail partners are savvy enough to get that as well. And look, it's a big focus for how we explore and develop our roadmaps in 2024 to think about smarter ways, whether we're looking at lifetime value, new to customer, new to brand. Um, those are stepping stones that we're exploring with a bunch of partners and bunch of advertisers to evolve the measurement language and the measurement shorthands in this space.
Yeah, so I guess it's looking at those kind of smart performance metrics where it's not just about the kind of the short-term metrics that obviously so many of us are used to looking at. It's that long-term. We touched on it right at the beginning, right? The power that TV advertising has to be a
Yeah.
memorable, recall-driven platform just takes on a different beast than some of the other advertising platforms we
Yeah,
deal with.
exactly. When we talk about ad experience, environment, adjacency to Mr. Bates and Love Island, what that comes with in terms of signaling, attention, trust. That comes with inherent value, and it's incremental value to what is on offer in the digital sort of pragmatic space. And we need to find a way of appropriately apportioning that value to these buys. And it's work in progress. It's really important to say that. We are always in beta, as we say quite a lot at ITV within the ad lab space. We're always in beta.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Kind of, again, relentlessly innovating and pushing and questioning kind of the status quo.
absolutely.
I could sit here and pick your brains on ITV and the TV landscape probably all day. But outside of ITV, you're also involved in an incredible organization that I've admired for quite some time, Media for All. So for anyone who might be unfamiliar, can you give us a quick overview of that organization its
Yeah.
goals and how it's tackling diversity and inclusion within the media industry.
So the organisation was founded by um, absolute force of nature called Naren Patel, who for many years was the CEO of PrimeSite, digital an out of home business that a couple of years ago sold to Global. Um, and I think it was about 2018, 2017 time, sort of came to the realization that I think we all a bunch of us inherently felt that there were, we're sitting in a lot of meetings, whether that be with clients, media partners, within our own agencies, surrounded by people that don't look like us, that don't have our background, and a Media for All was really founded to fix that. I joined in 2018. I was sort of 12th, 13th member, something like that. It's now an organisation of over 1,000 professionals in the industry. So you have to be in the industry. So either media agency, media owner, advertising, creative agency, variety of different other marketing services agencies, digital agencies, and client side marketers. Um, but we're all Black, Asian, minority, ethnic. And look, I think what we're trying to fix is we talk about our mission as recruit, retain, and rise. So find ways to encourage more Black, Asian, minority, ethnic talent into the industry. Um, be that partner and that safe space for those within the industry with a view to hoping that you'll stay in the industry for longer, and finding ways to develop that talent within our industry. So there's many aspects to what the organisation does. Mentoring sits at the core, but beyond that, it's a really thriving community. First and foremost, it's helping members connect with each other, feel like they belong in our industry. We often talk about it as being an ERG for the entire industry, and it certainly is that. We have a bunch of thriving WhatsApp groups that are really active, connecting members from all walks of the industry. People post job vacancies on there all the time, which is brilliant. Number of people that have found a role through the MEFA WhatsApp groups. Um, and alongside that, we're doing lots of research, awards. We have a major program around allowing big orgs around the industry to become a sponsor partner of MEFA, and that comes with a lot of benefits. And I've gained personally a lot from being part of it and helping it grow. I've met a lot of good friends, and the social aspect of MEFA is really strong and really powerful. And I thought, yeah, there are some really incredible bonds around the group.
I love that. It's so important. Those groups are so important. As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, a
Yeah,
phrase that I like to talk to people about a lot is "you can't be what you can't see." So
no,
that ability to spotlight the incredible, diverse voices within our industry is just so incredibly important. So it must be an amazing organization to be part of.
it is, and I hope what we've done for the industry is make it more appealing to those thinking about joining it. It's certainly, we've played a part in bringing diversity, equity, and inclusion to the absolute forefront in recruitment programs. And we've normalised, I think, mentoring
Mm.
for a number of these orgs, particularly of young minority ethnic talent. And I see the career trajectories of people I've known from even 5 or 6 years ago, and the satisfaction people are deriving from being part of MEFA as incredibly gratifying to be a part of. It's also quite an important place where you know significant issues that emerge in current affairs. People want to vent, people want to talk about this stuff. The MEFA WhatsApps and meetings and the coffee mornings are a safe space for members to talk about that, and it is really pleasing that the organisation's facilitating that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd encourage all of our kind of listeners to go and check it out, learn more, and get involved in the organization. Is there anything we haven't touched on? Is there any topics you feel we should cover that we haven't already before we wrap things up?
God, time's flown. I've just looked at my watch. Oh, blimey. No, I think we've spoken enough. I think, I guess, look, you haven't asked me to say this, but I'm really pleased with ITV's partnership with InfoSum. I think we've come. You asked me very early on what's evolved since Lara's podcast way back when in 2022. I think our relationship and our collaboration has evolved considerably in that time. I think our teams work really, really well together, and I enjoy working with you all.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible partnership, and often when I'm asked, what does InfoSum do as an organization, ITV is one of those companies that I point to, right? When I point to the power of that kind of first party data matching, and that ability to deliver more personalized experiences. So it's been just one of those incredible partnerships. But obviously what this podcast is about is spotlighting individuals such as yourself who are pioneering new ways to use data to deliver those rich customer experiences. So when you look to people you admire within the industry, who would you nominate for us to interview on an upcoming episode?
I feel there's a few ways you could go with this. I think I had a quick scan earlier of prior contributors, and you've got it's predominantly data architects, isn't it? It's the architects of our industry, which I think is brilliant. But I think what's of equal interest now that what we're doing here, and that notion of data collaboration is becoming increasingly normalized, increasingly central part of advertiser media plans, as the ability to apply that data becomes more pervasive across the media plan. I think you'd benefit from more generalists, more of the folk that are running agencies, running relationships with major advertisers. And I'm lucky to have grown up in the industry with some really, really smart people that fit that bill. People like Rachel Peace. I'm going to call her out and nominate her. Rachel runs Hearts and Science. Rich Fryer, I think, is another really smart bod running Starcom. James Parnham, he runs planning at Mediacom, Essence Mediacom. Those are the sorts of generalists I'll go to when I'm looking for a point of view, perspective on where thinking is right now. They're also good mates, and you won't be short of opinions if you talk to any of those guys. On the other side, if you want just another smart data and digital architect, you should look no further than Andrew Spurrier-Dawes, who's been in various roles at WPP Group M for a number of years. I think he's now running a smart new data solution called Resolve that I think is going to be big for Group M and WPP clients in 2024. He's also a fellow Spurs podcaster, so he's very used to this stuff.
Excellent.
And he's another really good mate. Is that enough recommendations?
Yeah, that's a great crew. Group. That'll set us up some really great guests for the rest of the year. So I appreciate that massively. Jay, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you so much for bringing so much information, so much insight into the incredible world of TV advertising, and just appreciate everything we're doing together. And I'm excited to see what more we achieve in 2024.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks again to Jay for joining us on Identity Architects. Jay is such an incredible leader, and I'm just forever inspired by his mindset of constant innovation and the phrase, "we're always in beta." All that leaves me to do is to remind you to hit that subscribe button so you know where the next episode of Identity Architects lands. But until then, thanks for listening.